Well, welcome everyone to Connected by Community, podcast brought to you by Ballantyne Capital Advisors. We're glad to have you here. I'm Brian Ballantyne, and I'm joined with Anthony Colancheco from Ballantyne Capital Advisors. And we're a podcast here to give you information about our community, business leaders, nonprofits, and other community interests. And we're super excited today to have Summer Schoen here with us from Inside the Design. And I'm going to pick on Summer for a second because we're going to make this fun. Summer's really prepared, and we don't want to have anything nervous. So all nervous energy we're getting out right now. It's over and done with.
Okay.
And there's no mistakes, so we're all good.
Okay.
And so I got to tell our audience, I got to have a disclosure first, Summer, so
Okay.
I'll get my nervousness out of it.
Okay.
So I'm going to throw myself on the gauntlet. So Summer has actually been so generous to help my wife before, and by helping my wife, help me, both in our home and also in our business. So she can tell all the dirty details and a little bit about me and what I do. So she can take all nervous energy and dump it on me. So all the weird, quirky things Brian does that they don't know about. So we'll get
Brian and I also try to match shirts today.
Yeah, we have blues. I don't know if that's a good design.
No one called me.
Well, you got the green. You got the center of the picture. So that's good.
So Summer, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So I'm Summer Schoen. I am an interior designer and the owner of Inside the Design. It's located here in the Greenville area, actually specifically Greer. I am originally from Greer and moved back to the area about 7 years ago after living in Charleston for 14 years and started Inside the Design in 2014.
What brought you back here?
I think family, I would have to say. I think the older you get, the closer you want to be to your family. And I think it would be family, to be closer to my family, my husband's family.
Gotcha.
We were 3 hours and 6 hours away from our family, so.
You don't miss the beach?
I do in the summer. I do not miss the humidity.
I hope my mom don't watch this episode because I'm the opposite. I actually moved away from family.
Oh.
Yeah, but you get on the move here.
I'm working on it.
You're working on it?
Yeah, we did that. It's good to be around them, but yeah, the right family, right? We'll see about that.
So tell us what you do professionally.
So I create beautiful functional living spaces for busy people. My clients go from feeling overwhelmed and frustrated with their homes to feeling organized and content. And by the end of the project, their favorite getaway is actually their own home. That's my goal for each project.
What kind of services would you offer in doing that?
So I provide full service design services, and that is where I'm creating spaces for my clients where it's planned, organized, managed, and executed for them from start to finish. So kind of just like a little peek into that process is I first start off with a discovery call, and that I do with every client. That is where we chat to see how we can work together, and I ask them about their project itself, their expectations for the project, and their investment amount. Then we'll move to the design consultation, which is in person. So I'll go out to their home or their place of business, like I did with you guys, where I can just get to know them a little bit more. And it gives me the opportunity to see the space, see any existing pieces of furniture that needs to be incorporated in the design, that kind of thing. Once the client has decided to move forward with me, then I'll take care of the contract, and then we'll go back out and I'll take pictures and take measurements of the space. And from that point to the time that I get back with them with a design, it usually takes between 4 and 6 weeks. It really just depends on the project and how big it is. And then I'll schedule a time to go back out and present the design to them. And then once the design has been approved and paid for, then I can start implementing it, ordering material, scheduling the work, that kind of thing. Once all the items have been received and inspected, then I'll schedule a time for the installation, and then it's like Christmas morning.
You know what? It's interesting. That sounds a lot like financial planning. So there's a lot a lot of similar aspects to that.
Okay,
So,
really?
Yeah.
How so do you think?
Well, you start with an initial consultation. You assess what people have. You put together a plan. Then you kind of present the plan. Then you implement the plan.
Yeah.
And then you review it. And the review might be you come back a year later and tell them how they did on their stuff. So, in fact, in our new office, we need to have you back out.
Okay.
we'll talk about that later.
Okay. I think it's important to have a process that you take each client, with or through. It helps them to know what's happening from step to step, and I think also it helps you be consistent with each client and stick with your processes.
Yeah.
How'd you get into design?
Honestly, I have a English degree first, is what I did. I didn't know what I was going to do with it. Everybody would say, "Are you going to teach?" Or no, I'm not going to teach. But I don't think that when I was in high school, we weren't as prepared to figure out what we wanted to do with ourselves for the rest of our lives. It was just kind of like, hey, here's a day in the library where this is where we keep the books for the colleges. And you had like an hour and you looked through them and then you applied to schools. And that was pretty much it. So I don't think I really knew what I wanted to do with my career or for a career. But later on, I realized that I should have went for school for design. I did go back and take classes at night. It took me quite a few years to finish it, but I have a certification in design now as well.
So what's your favorite aspect of design and being in the industry?
I would have to say, there's so many, but I think fabric and lighting is like my favorite aspects of interior design. I think fabric is often an inspiration for projects for me. It is something that adds color and texture and dimension, and it can just really be a jumping off point. And then I always say lighting is the jewelry for your home. It brings your eye out and up into a space and just really add interest to it. And that's something I've just always been kind of obsessed with lighting.
It can change the way something looks dramatically.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. This is not what we're talking about. We've even seen that with videos. The type of lighting we cut of videos in our office, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But definitely in our home, we've seen that. The type of lights, where we have them placed, what you do, it makes.
And there's overhead lighting, there's task lighting, there's ambient lighting. You have to have a correct mixture of all of them for it to be successfully lit. But also, one thing that people don't always pay attention to is light bulb colors. Like, you want to be consistent. If you have cool lights or warm lights, you don't want to have a mixture of each because you will be able to tell.
It's funny you say that. So Wendy somewhere, no, she's still here. She's over behind the camera that no one can see. So this is my OCD. I'm telling on myself. I told you I was no nerve. So I'm in the men's restroom in the office, and one of the lights went out, and one was one color, and one was a different. I said, we got to change that. I can't, because it looks different. It doesn't look professional. I can't take that, right?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm the same way. We were changing some light bulbs the other night in our house, and we ran out. It was the island bulbs. And I'm like, well, we have to steal from someplace else. We can't have two that are one color and one another. So
if you're gonna have a different color, it has to be in the closet where no one sees.
We don't even. Why do we even have them? That's what I want to know. It's probably my fault. I probably bought it.
I'm going to jump to trends.
Okay.
What are some of the new trends in 2021?
Okay, so I have to preface this by saying I generally suggest to my clients that they not concentrate on trends. Trends come and go. So I usually tell people concentrate more on like your bigger pieces that are your quality, more timeless pieces, and then save, the trendiness for smaller things like throw pillows or accessories, that kind of thing. I kind of declared 2021 to be the year of less house, more home. And what I mean by that is making your home work for you instead of you having to work around it. You may have to work for your home in order to afford it, but you shouldn't have to work around things in your home that you don't like. I think 2020 really pushed people into caring more about having a proper space to work from home. And in the process, just in general, spending more time at home, it revealed how our homes maybe don't work for us. And I think, too, having multifunctional spaces has become more of a trend for 2021 because people learned, if you don't have a space to work in and eat in or whatever it is that you're wanting to do multiple things in, you got to rectify that situation. I also think that walls is something that has become popular, and what I mean by that is rooms with walls as opposed to just open concept. Open concept was a big popular thing for a while, but I think 2020 pushed us to say, hey, we've got multiple people in this home with different schedules, and we're all on top of each other, like in this open concept. So
It's too open.
Yeah. There's, kids trying to do their thing with school and parents on Zoom calls and pets running around, whatever the case, that's all kind of in the same room, then it's distracting and nobody can get their work done. So I think having rooms with walls is something that people are like, hey, maybe we shouldn't have knocked all those walls down.
So I guess that's an old trend that's coming back, is the putting walls back up.
I think so. I think that's definitely one of them. I also think like sculptural pieces of furniture is something that's kind of coming back, and earthy colors. I know Urbane Bronze was the color of the year, or is the color of the year for Sherwin-Williams for 2021. And it's a strong, earthy, brown, gray color. Greens, milky whites, like colors in nature are kind of the thing for the year. And then something which I love, which is houseplants. That was something that was kind of big like in the 70s. That is something that is more of a trend now. And I think they do look nice, but they also do functional things, which I like things that is beautiful or beautiful and functional, but they freshen the air and eliminate toxins, they reduce stress levels and increase productivity, all the good stuff. So you need to have those I think every space should have a live green element to it.
I did something right because I know we talked about that at our office, but I actually had read an article on that somewhere, and I said, hey, we got to get some greenery in here because you're supposed to be more productive.
Yes.
And
hopefully that's true.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it works, but I can tell you we did it, right?
You did do it?
Yeah, we have
good.
green. Yeah, we have
good.
some kind of green.
Okay.
So yeah, that's all good. So tough question, and you can say I don't want to answer because you don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. But what's a trend or something you see that you're like, that's not a good trend?
Well,
just between us girls.
I think something that I am ready for it to move on.
That's a great way to say it.
Okay.
Bless your heart.
Okay. Is art, and I'm using that term loosely. I'm going to put it in quotes too. Art with words on it, like laundry room or kitchen or something of the sort. I'm ready for that to.
But I need to know where to go.
I mean, don't you already know? Don't you kind of already know that has a refrigerator?
There's whole stores built around that now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm also not a big fan of painted accent walls. I kind of think it dates a space. I think wallpapered accent walls are lovely, but I feel like if you're going to paint a room, just go all in and paint all the walls.
Right.
Just be consistent with it.
Not business in the front, party in the back, or whatever.
No room mullets.
Yeah. Okay. I just made that up, so I was just thinking maybe that's what we call it.
I think I just made up room mullet.
Yeah. That's what we call it.
So my wife sent me with a list of questions.
Oh, okay.
And we moved in our home probably 2 years ago, and we still have not decorated much.
Okay.
So her one question was, is there one piece of furniture or fixture that ties a room together?
I really don't think that there is. I'm sorry, Jackie. I don't think there's just one specific thing. I think it's a carefully curated process of making sure that things are to scale, that there's layers of textures and fabrics, that the room is properly lit. There needs to be pieces of interest, beautiful art, a cohesive color palette. I feel like all of those things are nice individually, but together they work in unison to create a successful space. So the gang's all got to be there, present and accounted for. To me, it's not like you can just put a lamp in there and call it a day. It's got to it's kind of got to be the package deal.
Sorry, Jackie, you're not getting easy out there, right?
And then her other question was, what makes an entryway more inviting?
Okay, so
besides going through the garage all the time.
Yeah. So an entryway is the introduction to your home. It's the introduction to the rest of your home, not just the entry of your house. It's the first space that someone sees whenever they do come over to visit, and it needs to not only be welcoming, but it needs to be a representation of what the rest of the house looks and feels like. Beautiful lighting, both overhead and ambient, is good in the space, and having interesting art. Those are both, I think, great things to have there. This is a prime spot for a good statement light fixture. Entryways in general, they're just not usually the biggest of areas, so you can really pack in some good design punch with a good statement light fixture there. So there.
God, so
you
just cost me money. So.
Take notes. Take notes. What do you see the biggest or a common mistake you see homeowners making when they try to design their space?
Like things that maybe they went a little wrong with.
Yeah,
okay.
This is pretty common. Hey, people think this is a good idea, but it's really not that great of an idea.
Okay. I don't know how honest or forthcoming.
You can be really honest. It's
answer.
just between us girls. I've already said that, right?
I'll tell you this: I do have the laundry sign. So
do you? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's coming down tonight.
Right in the trash.
Okay, so I don't want to step on any toes or offend, but I have a little list, I guess you would say. 84-inch drapery panels. Mm-hmm. That's one thing. That's never enough. That's not tall enough. It will barely get to your trim of your window.
Okay.
So it's not tall enough. Ponytail curtains.
I don't even know what that is.
That may be something I've just made up myself.
Okay.
But it's where a curtain panel is hanging on the rod, and then they have them gathered in the middle, and then it goes back out.
Yeah. Okay.
I just call them ponytail curtains.
Bad idea.
It's not a good idea.
Yeah.
Also, while we're on the curtain kick, drapery panels that are too short, they're high waters. High water pants.
Yeah, my wife doesn't like those either.
that don't come all the way down to the floor. Yeah. And then I think another thing would be furniture sets or suites that are matching. If you go to a furniture store, that's kind of how they package it to you, to have everything the same. But that's kind of a no-no.
Too matchy-matchy.
Too matchy-matchy. And probably rugs that are too small.
There you go.
Yeah.
And I'll throw myself again. This is like the fourth time I think I've thrown myself out there. I
appreciate your efforts, by
whatever.
the way.
I'm just trying to, my mistake. Actually, I like it. So I just decided with rugs, because I'm kind of rug size thing in our home was a big deal. And I just bit the bullet and said, let's just get a custom size fight we did at the office, right? Mm-hmm. If I'm going to spend all this money and time and energy, just spend the extra money, get a custom size, what fits your space. I'm just like, don't go cheap there. And you're probably not even going to save that much money. I agree with you. Getting the right size. This is my little bit of design insight that
I like
totally
it.
with
Keep
you.
going. Keep going.
That I think you just got to spend a few bucks on that because you're going to see it all the time.
Yeah.
Get the right size. An 8x10 is not the only size for every room.
Right.
So I totally agree with you.
Yes, and you just the you spending the extra money to get the quality rug. And I'm not saying that you can't go to one of the stores around here like Home Goods or whatever
Right.
and find rugs because you can. However, if you go there and maybe spend $200 on a 9x12, first of all, that's probably not high quality
Right.
for that size rug for that amount of money. But you've, in essence, because you're going to have to replace that rug in 6 months to a year because it wasn't high
Right.
quality, depending on where you have it. You could have just taken that $200 and put it towards the custom rug or the higher quality rug. So you really just wasted it. Is kind of how I see it.
I totally agree. And what my wife would say, and I would complain about the size every time I walk by. Should have gotten a custom 10x13 or whatever. So, whatever size. So, I agree with that.
So we have a personal question a signature question that we usually ask, and it's
Okay.
what makes you tick?
Okay. I feel like everyone has different skill sets and gifts. And I think being able to bless others with the gifts that I have been blessed with, that's important to me. Passing on, my talent, but also acknowledging and seeing the value in other people's gifts and talents, I think that's important as well.
Awesome. So tell us, I guess, if people want to reach out to you, learn more about you have certainly other services than what we talked about. We could be here for 3 hours, but that might have been overwhelming. I'm sure they can find stuff on your website. They can call and talk to you about other ways you can work with them. How would they reach out to you and find you?
So there's my website, which is insidethedesign.com. There's a contact page there, and I've also got plenty of blue book a discovery call buttons sprinkled throughout. People can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Inside the Design.
Awesome. Thanks, Summer, for being
Thank you.
here.
Thank you for having me.
We're glad to have you and all the help you've given us as well. So.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for everyone for joining us. Again, we're connected by the community, brought to you by Valentine Capital Advisors. Glad you could join us. Certainly follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. Until we see you next time, go out and make our community great again.